stone's throw away from me here inside CPAC because there's so much happening. And I'm proud right now to bring in two board members of CPAC who are foreign policy experts. The former Trump Deputy National Security Advisor, CPAC board member, and author of the book, you just saw a little preview of it, Revolution, Trump, Washington, and We the People, Katie McFarland joining me here on set. And also he's the author of many books, including The Coming Collapse of China and also Plan Red, China's project to destroy America, Gordon Chang. Thanks for spending some time with us here on Newsline today. So much happening domestically, but also globally. And I'd like to start with what we're hearing from the Ukraine war and what is happening to possibly achieve peace. There was some positive movement as we saw Poland's president put out a statement. You know, we know Kellogg had a meeting with Zelensky, and he's saying stay calm and stay committed, because he says, President Duda, that it is the Trump administration and it is Donald Trump who they believe needs to support. I'll let you kick things off, KT, because there's so much of this heated back and forth that we've seen in the past few days.
Pay a lot of attention to that. Look, the Biden administration, the European leaders, and even Zelensky refused to talk to Putin for 3 years. There was no conversation at any level. They said, well, we're only going to go to the negotiating table if Putin goes back to Moscow. Or we can't trust an agreement that Putin would make, so therefore why even bother to negotiate? So they never did. Trump was the only person who could bring them all to the table, and they're now talking. Now, where is it going? They're negotiating in real time right in front of you, where President Trump is saying, we want those rare earth minerals. And Zelensky is saying, well, we want to give them to you, how much? And then they're going back and forth about the price. Look, this is really good news because it's happening very quickly. It's happening in real time. And I think the president gets his peace deal soon.
And you know, it's amazing. We saw Russia's Sergei Lavrov. Yeah. He's in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, Gordon. And then he's now on the sidelines in Johannesburg. And he's sitting there talking to his counterpart in China. And they put out a statement in China's foreign ministry, Wang Yi, and what he's saying is China supports all efforts, including the recent concessions talked by the United States. So China's even getting on board. Did you find that unusual? What can we take as part of the strategy, perhaps, from China on this?
There are a couple things here, Bianca. One of them is that with Trump negotiating directly with Russia, excluding Ukraine, excluding the European Union, China likes that because it knows that it creates friction between Brussels and Washington. And they've always tried to separate the Europeans from the United States. But also the other thing is the Chinese know that they have been supporting the Russians throughout the world, and especially in Ukraine. And I think that it makes China more bold when it sees the United States is not willing to defeat Putin. And that means I think Xi Jinping is going to be more bold in East Asia. Now, I'm not saying that the Chinese have psyched this out right, but I'm afraid that they are now going to become even more belligerent.
Well, it's certainly something to watch as we watch, talks moving forward. There was an interesting story that came out about Russia being the aggressor, and the United States was objecting to that G7 part of the document. KT, what do you read to that? Is it part of keeping the diplomatic channels open and trying to soften things?
So President Trump is looking at this very strategically. Now, remember, he never trash-talked Putin. He's never called him a bunch of names. Why? Because I think Trump understands that Putin cares about what he's called, what people think about him. And so can you have a good negotiation with a guy you're trash-talking? Probably not as good.
No.
And the real objective here is that President Trump understands that one of the worst developments in the last 4 years is that the Chinese and the Russians have gotten together, and then the North Koreans and Iran. So they now have an alliance. Can President Trump put any kind of sand in the gears? Maybe can he kind of bring Russia to some kind of an agreement with the United States and out of China's loving arms?
Yeah, it's all about optics, too. And, everyone's got to save face a little if they've got to go back to their country and try to remain in power.
Yes, exactly.
There was a big guest yesterday, Rob Schmidt, sat down with Elon Musk. Russia came up, and I thought this was one of the best sound bites, if you will, of their exchange. Let's play this.
There's a huge push from the
administration. Yeah. People sometimes
to end this war.
Say I'm a bought asset of Putin. Yeah. I'm like, he can't afford me.
I think you're worth more than Russia.
Think about it.
Putin can't afford him. Everyone's a tizzy over Elon Musk. Javier Milei came in and said, I want to give you a chainsaw. We've seen this global sort of upswelling here of what's going on. But make a reaction to everything Elon said in your mind. What did you take away, Gordon, from some of the highlights?
I think this is incredibly interesting. Things are just happening so much, and we really don't know what's going on. And we don't know how the Russians, the Chinese, everybody else takes a look at this. So I am actually very happy that Elon Musk is saying these things, because it is putting the Russians off balance.
And the Chinese.
And the Chinese.
And the Chinese, who love to have everything kind of nicely organized, no ripples in the water. The thing, when you look at it all together, what's happening, the entire world chessboard is being reset, right? So the Europeans are nervous about, well, what's America going to do? Are they going to pull out of NATO? Are they going to end the Ukraine war?
You got France and Keir Starmer both saying, let's get in front of Trump.
Oh, let's run to Trump.
Yeah.
And then what are they going to say to Trump? I mean, bring your checkbook, because if you're not willing to pay your fair share of the common defense in Europe, and then the Middle East, they're all meeting too. Everybody's nervous about how this is being reset, but they all are reacting to the one guy driving the world right now is Donald Trump.
He is. Tomorrow, obviously a critical day in the Middle East. You know, we will see the hostages that were released. There was reports now that wasn't the mother's body, that the babies were brutally murdered. You know, there is bombing attacks in Tel Aviv, Gordon. The Middle East right now is in such a fragile point. And we have Donald Trump coming here tomorrow to address CPAC as well. All of this is kind of culminating. There's a lot happening, but there's still hope, I think, for, you know, the people there who are hoping for peace. But it does seem every day harder and harder to understand what Netanyahu is going to do when it comes to wiping out Gaza.
Yeah, there is a momentum to war in the Middle East, but the thing, if you look at the broader issue, things are happening too fast, as you point out. And this resembles the run-up to World War I, where countries just could not manage what was happening because too much was occurring. People didn't know who was going to be on whose side.
Yeah.
So this is instability. You know, it does play to our advantage, but it could also create some pretty catastrophic events.
What do you think is going to happen next in the Middle East as where the ceasefire, maybe phase one, may be ending?
Yeah. I think Donald Trump and Netanyahu are on the same page. Just finish the job now. I mean, what we've seen, you know, they're butchering babies, and then they're having Palestinian kids stand on the coffins of butchered Israeli babies. Just wipe them out. Finish Hamas once and for all.
Steve Witkoff has said that they're going to have some meetings with Jared Kushner about potentially, you know, the rebuilding of Gaza and removing. Also, Palestinians have them, you know, go to other countries as well. So we'll watch that play out. Before I let you both go, you're both board members of CPAC. It's been really amazing to see the momentum, I think, around the globe. I'm going to give you each a moment to kind of talk about. You have a panel today with people from Macedonia. Gordon, you've been speaking high-level talks. You have another panel tomorrow as well. The world is watching all the ideas being birthed here.
Yes, well, the interesting thing is that freedom is moving forward, and that's because America's back, and America's back because Trump is back. And that is the story from this CPAC.
The ideas are global, and everybody's interested in CPAC, not just in America, but around the world, and they all want CPAC kind of activities in their own country. Why? They're all sending their leaders here to observe, to meet, to see how we do it. It's because the world is now set on fire in a good way. Now it's going to reverse all of the craziness of the last decade.
Well, I appreciate you both stopping by. Obviously, you have a very packed schedule, and there's a lot of thoughtful analysis into these issues that are playing out right now, moment by moment. Gordon Chang, KT McFarland, a pleasure. Thank you both.
Thank you.